morning. Good morning. Get ready to chime in. You're listening to First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
My name is Paul B. He's Buddy the God, and
Hey,
we're here with all of you, the chat chimers, the ghost listeners, the monitoring spirits. We
there
appreciate
you go.
everybody who's joining us today. Do us a favor, please share the show on your page, especially if you're on Facebook or YouTube, and let other people come in and recognize that this show is going on. We would love to hear more voices, have more voices join the conversation. And yeah, continue to talk about the things that affect us here in our neighborhoods as well. So appreciate everybody that came in this morning before the 7 o'clock hour, the 10 minutes before when we come on and give all the hellos and how you doings. Appreciate people getting up early with us
Oh yeah.
and letting us start a hard seven on some news. Definitely have some news. Definitely have a lot of things going on in the news right now. So I'll turn it over to Buddy. Appreciate you getting up early this morning as well and gathering some of these news stories. What are some of the things we're going to be talking about today?
Man, first of all, just as always, kind of want to get a pulse. Just let I don't really have any community news prepared, but feel free to drop that into the chat and things that are going on in the community. Maybe even, of course, we're not broadcasting on Fridays, so if you have any haps coming up later on this weekend, definitely feel free to drop those into the chat. As we talked about a little bit ago, there are some things going on, especially in light of Black August. So definitely shout out to the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. But yeah, if you have any haps, definitely drop those in. As you see, August 25th. That's this Sunday. Definitely look out. Malcolm X Memorial Foundation celebrating Black August. But if you have some things worth celebrating, or just some things worth knowing about, feel free to drop that into the chat. As always, want to give some shouts out and some love to the community. Also, shout out to our community for giving us the support that we need. We need it. Kind of keeps the wind in our sails, you could say sometimes. Definitely those who have supported us with the weekly rap newsletter.
Yeah.
It's coming. Yeah. So big shout out to everybody. We still getting emails almost every day, man. Of people asking to join the newsletter. A lot of excitement. People giving us good feedback on that. Hopefully you're finding some value in what it is that we're doing with the weekly rap. So if you haven't already signed up, again, you can hit us up at firstsky.omaha at gmail.com. Again, that's firstsky.omaha at gmail.com. And then leave newsletter in the subject line, and yeah, we'll get back to you, add you to those roles. Also, I don't know, Paul, can you drop that link in the chat if that's a little easier for some folks,
Yeah.
who
Yeah. I'll grab that and drop that in as soon as I
yeah,
can.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So again, big shout out. We're always talking about it, and brainstorming on how to actually add to that thing. So this is just the beginning with the newsletter, man. So definitely tap in with us, kind of be an early adopter, if you will, and even give us some ideas, some feedback. So again,
Most
big shout out to those who have already tapped in. We appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for that. Also,
yeah.
Mama God reminding us to tell the people to like, share, subscribe to the YouTube page. So again, make sure we do that.
Yeah.
Trying to build a community over there. Of course, the Friends of First Sky Facebook group has grown over the years, and we're trying to do some other things. Obviously, some more bells and whistles, and just some more just some more benefits and things for YouTube. So
Yep.
again, check us out. You can also stay on top of exclusive content. We have some other things that will be dropping there exclusively. You got
Yep.
something to say, Paul?
Yeah, let me go ahead and jump in here. There's
Yeah,
a
go ahead.
few,
Go ahead.
few community updates. Definitely, shout out to Senator Terrell McKinney, who is always reminding us we're in voting season. Get ready, get people registered, and get voting November 5th. Of course, for all of the races, but of course he's still running for District 11 as well. I'm not really sure. Somebody asked the question last show if he was running unopposed, and I'm not sure. I think he is running unopposed now that that the former senator. The elder dropped out of there. So Bernie Chambers. So I appreciate him always giving us the right reminders at the right time. He's on business. Shout out to Senator Terrell McKinney. He was just out at the DNC. We saw some footage that he had as well. And again, we were deep out there. So that's kind of something that's happening in the community for sure. That's going on here is what's happening here is we were kind of deep out there in Chicago. I don't know if you guys have heard the speeches that the Obamas gave, but they're pretty powerful, and everybody's really kind of getting down with them on that. So we're hearing a lot about it. We're hearing how excited people are about what's going on here. Again, you see Precious McKesson there. You see Preston Love in the back, and of course, like we said, we know that Senator Terrell McKinney was there, and Kimra Snipes was there. and many other folks. I think I see Senator Carol Blood in the back there too. So definitely deep out there in a big way, and we appreciate everybody that took the track and went out there and represented. Even if we don't agree all the time with the politics, it's good to see Omaha in the House representing in a big way. So shout out to them. Also, we work with the OEAAs. Just want to mention that the public nominees nominations close on August 31st. So that's coming up. Definitely vote now. You can go to oeaas.org and check that out so that you can vote for your favorite artists in town. We'll definitely have somebody on from the OEAs that can speak more about it. But this process goes on every year, and every year we try to highly encourage people to nominate. I've learned personally about how important the award show is to a city that's trying to grow their artistic direction in a big way, and they've been a powerful facility here for a while, and doing nothing but getting bigger and producing more artists and getting people to the next level. So shout out to the OEAAs for doing that. And go ahead and vote. Go to oaa.org and vote. Public nominations close on the 31st. Also, there's a lot of other events coming up. Shout out to Ashley Spivey, who's running for Legislative District 13. She's having a meet and greet fundraiser on September 9th at Cumbia. This is hosted by Katie Whites, and I believe it's open to the public from 5 to 7. You can go out there and show your support for her as well. We're going to have her on soon too. She's got a lot going on, and she's working with us a little bit on getting the word out, not just for her race, but just getting the word out about the vote and getting active in the community. So shout out to her for that as well, and appreciate that very much. For those of you who have been who know who Shamika Simpson is, Queen Shamika, I think somebody was calling her yesterday. She put out an email saying, "I'm sending this email to you because I know that you can be or already are a critical part of making sure underrepresented members of our communities have the continued right to vote." Excuse me. So she's been sending emails out. And in this fight right now, the law got changed, but they're battling the law about felons who have the right to vote when they get out. The information in this email will hopefully help us to all be further educated and spread awareness in our communities on the retention of voting rights for ex felons under LB 20, passed this year by our legislature with an overwhelming approval vote of 38-6. And under LB 53, which passed in 2009, the Nebraska, excuse me, pardon me this morning. The Nebraska Attorney General and the Secretary of State and others I suspect locally and nationally are colluding to disenfranchise voters with a felony from exercising their rights to vote in this key election year. These felons are our people, our loved ones, our family, our friends. Many are now upstanding citizens, philanthropists, community workers, business owners, and have been voting for years that could lose their right to vote. Most also are disproportionately part of the Black and Brown community, strategically located in Douglas County, the Blue Dot, and other redlined and vulnerable communities across the state. I strongly suspect that the legislature is attempting to use the voter disenfranchisement or felons as a way to further nullify our community's voting power, which statistically votes Democrat, especially since the opposition does not currently have the votes in the legislature to enact winner take all electoral college legislation. Also, the hypocrisy and absurdity of disenfranchising felons from voting to ensure that a felon can win the highest office in the land should not be lost on any of us. It's my favorite line of the email there. She says, please familiarize yourself with the materials and be ready to fight back via protest, writing letters, text, phone banks, collection, testimonials, etc. if asked. Our democracy and the dignity of our loved ones is literally at stake. The Malcolm X Memorial Foundation is wanting to plan a town hall next weekend to inform our most impacted community members. We are looking for collaborators to maximize our reach and resources. Email to me directly if you or your organization can help support in any way. Once again, we need and appreciate your help and support. Please share to the other like-minded individuals and organizations in your networks. If you're already in a coalition, let's link up and support each other. Remember, the power is always in the people just like you and me. Thank you. If you want some more information about that, I definitely think that you should hit her up and talk to her directly. Shamika Simpson. She can be. I think she posted this on Facebook as well, so you can find her there, and we'll get some information about where you can get with her on that and get some of those materials that she talked about. She also sent over a lot of materials there, um, shout out to her for doing that. And then also, this is the one of the flyers that was up, the Hands Off Our Votes, August 24th. This is also coming up from 1:30 to 3:30. This is going to be the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Everybody's going to rally there for this voting rights rally, and get with each other, like-minded individuals who understand the power of what is happening here. These laws that got passed that are being battled, and yeah, so she's trying to gain some support and get some people together. So shout out to her. Shout out to Malcolm X Memorial Foundation for putting this together, and definitely check that out. We'll put that in Friends of First Sky Omaha for you to see as well. So I thought that was an important one to definitely bring up. It's been in our network, and she's been talking to a lot of organizations that also that feel the way we feel about this situation. We were happy that the law passed. Sad that it was going to be battled in the way that it is. We just did this story on Monday where we talked about some politicians flat out saying they were going to break the law, just not do it. So what can be done about it? Well, first things first, gather together and organize. So shout out to Miss Shamika Simpson, Queen Shamika, on that as well. We'll definitely have to have her back. And if you remember, she is the one of the ones that was responsible for the Undesigned the Red Line exhibit, and is in the film that was so powerful that's still going around to all the festivals right now, talking about redlining and specifically in the Omaha community, showing an example of how we have the same problem that people all over the country have when it comes to that redlining. Tough situation. So shout out to her, reach out to her, find out all that she's got going on. She's been a powerful ally and activist for a while, and we really appreciate her work. Like I said, we'll work to get her on soon. So appreciate you guys sitting through that. I just wanted to make sure that I got that message out via her. I've been looking in the chat right now. I see Anthony Rogers Wright is coming in this morning as well. He's saying, first of all, big up to Miss Cheryl for putting on an excellent meeting with OPPD. Shout out to Miss Cheryl Weston.
Nice.
So he said we need to have a serious conversation about OPPD. It sure don't feel like public power.
Hmm.
Yes, yeah, for real. Um, yeah, I hear that. Also, Obama's speeches were vintage greatness. Also, El Haj Malik Shabazz would not be a Democrat. Well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
we can talk about that for sure. Appreciate your comments there. Also, Tony Johnson in the House says Kalandra Cooper is still running against McKinney. Okay, so he's not running unopposed. Somebody's still running there for seat the District 11. Black Dynamite gives us a good morning, y'all. We're halfway there. Woo!
Yeah, man.
So it's a rough hump day today for sure.
Man.
Mama Dot says, anyone attend Ashley Spivey's Family Fun Day at Orchard Park on Saturday? Yeah, let us know if
Hmm.
you attended that as well. She's got a lot of great events and stuff going on for sure, man. Where she's really doing the thing. So appreciate it. Anthony Rogers Rice is very important. Interviewing Mika tomorrow on all of her amazing work to get returning citizens their constitutional voting rights.
Man.
So it's tomorrow. I was wondering about that. I was looking for you last night, so I thought the show started. So give us some more information on that, man. Some links so we can promote it and get people to get over there to watch your new podcast and speak to Queen Shamika. Appreciate that very much. And Brother Pena gives us a good morning. So shout out
Hey.
to you. I'm sorry that we had to drag out the community news a little bit, but thought it was an important thing for us to be able to all get on the same page on. It's definitely on our radar
Oh yeah.
what Miss Shamika is doing. As you can see, we're all trying to talk to her and help help with the cause. So yeah, shout out. Appreciate that very much.
Yeah.
7:14 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, buddy, you good over there?
Yeah. Everything is good, man. Everything is good. Had
Okay,
had a little situation, but put the fire
Yeah,
out.
got him nervous there. I was like, oh man.
Yeah. Not a literal fire, but yeah. It's all good. It's all good.
All right, right on. Appreciate you coming on in. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what. Oh, first of all, just to let you know, we had a special guest that was supposed to come on today. We just got news right before the show that he's not going to be able to make it for reasons that we'll explain when he does come on another time. So
Hmm.
he was speaking on a case that we need to know about, and his lawyer was like, you better not say a few things here. So you got to get that
Yeah.
straight before he actually comes on. That's understandable. Don't you want to make sure that you are successful with what's going on in that fight. So for those of you that came on for Brother Maya, We will have him on another time. He's not going to make it today, but we definitely have plenty of other things that we need to address today as well. And what are some of those things, buddy? What's the top headlines for the day?
Yeah, yeah. Well, of course, you kind of mentioned with Mika, so I do want to rehash what's going on with that whole fight. Again, LB 20, passed by Senator Justin Wayne and giving felons the right to vote, is under attack. And yeah, there's some officials who are, as you mentioned, just outright not going to follow the law, just breaking the law. So there are some call to actions. Big shout out to Sister Mika, as you mentioned, but also reminding people that the court hearing is coming up next week as well. So there's definitely some things to look out for. Also, this is a big topic of conversation in the community, especially on Friends of First Sky. So, big shout out to everybody who's posting, who's commenting, who's kicking up dust about this DEI situation. UNL again closing down this DEI program, kind of the latest in the dominoes of DEI programs and offices and positions being shut down and stripped away. So, definitely want to talk about that, and not just UNL, but it sounds like the whole university system in Nebraska as a total is kind of steering away from DEI, if you will. So, what does this mean? I definitely want to talk about that. Seems like a lot of you had things to say, so definitely feel free to chime up into the chat about that situation. I also want to talk about what's going on down in Douglas County. Of course, they're breaking. It's quite interesting that I'm just now hearing about it, but they're already breaking ground in a new mental health facility at Douglas County Correction Center. And again, this is just the latest in mental health situations coming up. So definitely want to talk about that. More beds, actual service, actual help. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. So definitely talk about that. And also, I want to look at what's going on in housing. Again, brother Hassani Lee, speaking of court cases, definitely another court case that we're keeping a close eye on. And he is expected to make his way back to court, continuing that fight with Omaha Housing Authority. And again, trying to stand up for tenants' rights, not just in public housing, but also and just in general, just anybody who's dealing with a unsafe, unhealthy living condition. You deserve better. And brother Lee is definitely fighting that fight. Also, jumping into what's going on with Rose Manor. Speaking of housing situation, this isn't quite a tower public housing type deal, but again, still tenants in Rose Manor and Midtown dealing with some issues, especially after these storms over the last couple months. Holes in the roof, leaking pipes, pretty much the same situation. So again, we'll dive into that as far as the housing things going on. I also definitely want to hear about what's going on with the the Democratic National Convention. Again, if some people have some videos, have some input, definitely would love to hear from you. Even if we have a couple of our Nebraskans out there tuned in right now, definitely would love to hear from you as well. Again, a lot of people, even some friends of First Sky, showing up and showing out and supporting out there in Chicago. So yeah, or if any of you have been at home watching, I would definitely love to hear your takes on that as well. Again, this is season 1B, as we're calling it. So first hour, we will be delivering the news, but in the second hour, we'll definitely love to hear more from you. So as always, let your mind be free, let your voice be heard. This is the fourth estate. Again, keeping the people informed and holding the powers that be accountable. So get ready to, let's jump into some conversation, ask some questions that need to be asked, and, hopefully find some answers in the meantime. But Paul B, what
Yo,
say you,
yo.
man?
Man, yeah, just appreciate everybody that's coming on in and bearing with us through the technical difficulties here, and all the things that are going on in the community. I think that's is pretty important. The stuff that we're talking about today, and we appreciate everybody who has been out in the community doing the work and also representing as well. Brother Anthony Rogers Wright says there were only two black folk in the room at the OPPD meeting. Senator McKinney attended virtually. We simply
Mm,
cannot let issues of environmental justice be decided and dominated by affluent white folk. That's how we got the Inflation Reduction Act.
mm.
So,
Okay.
so yeah, again, shout out to Miss Cheryl Weston who facilitated that meeting with OPPD. I hope something came from it. It's unfortunate; it doesn't sound like a whole lot of our people was there, but there was a couple people there that maybe represented, and also Senator McKinney who chimed in. Sounds like so. We'd love to get an update from Miss Cheryl Weston on that meeting and what has come from that. I also want to address Mama God, who's asking about who. Can you at least share who Brother Maya was? Yes. Who he is? Yes, he is a person in our community who is also part of the Fourth Estate. He runs a small newspaper called Heartland News, and he is so it's not a very small newspaper. It's actually very regional. It's a newspaper that reaches different regions as well,
Mhm.
and he's been doing some of the good work in the community. So another important community member of ours that's in Black news and the media out here, Brother Sherman Wells had him on his show very recently as well. So you can go to Sherman Wells' page and find some of the things that Brother Mia was talking about. He also has a son that is a very successful boxer. That I don't know that he is of the same name. So people who know who Maya is, so they might be thinking of the son. But the incident that they're talking about, I think, involves the father and the son.
Mm.
So we wanted to come in and talk about some things that went down with the police that we need to discuss. And this is an ongoing fight. So that's a little bit of his background. We'll definitely let him come on and talk about more of his background when he does show up. But I appreciate the question.
Yeah.
Tony Johnson in the chat says, hearing the Nebraska Democrat mention Malcolm X, probably the only black thing the Nebraska Democrats have mentioned in years.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Want to lose in the
Alright.
chat gives us a peace sign. Appreciate you coming on in. Yep, yep, peace. Yep, appreciate it very much. And thanks again for joining us. Once again, our special guest, Maya, it will not make it today. We will have him on. We'll postpone him for another day as well. And so I just want to let people know if you're just now joining us, that's what's happening. Mama God is also speaking on this shutdown DEI while starting Black Studies program dichotomy. I was thinking that too. I was thinking that too. Kind of interesting that that's happening. So there's a lot that, people. I love that you guys chimed up on Friends of First Sky Omaha about this situation. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we have some little emergency here. I'll let Buddy handle what he's handling there. Sorry about that. Sorry about our situation here. We're trying our best to maintain here. We got some stuff going on behind the scenes that's happening as well. So yeah, we're gonna put this link in the chat if you haven't seen what was going on here with the shutting down the DEI. It is a dichotomy. I totally agree with that, Mama God. I don't understand it. We just talked about the Black Studies program, and that's gonna be difficult to explain. I did see the chancellor, and this is hitting me close to home too because I just came from visiting Jonathan Benjamin Alvarado, who's a friend of mine that you guys all know. We call him JBH, a friend of First Guy Omaha. He's been on the show several times. He's commented several times. He was vice chancellor at UNO, and he took a job in Texas where I just went to visit him at TCU, and he's doing tremendous work out there with diversity, equity, and diversity. So and he has a very high up position, and it's interesting to me that this article just came out about them taking it away here. While I just went and learned all the good work that he's doing out there in Texas, which in the parts of Texas that he's at, felt like to me he would have a tougher time having some diversity there. So it's kind of crazy to hear that what was going on here, and I kind of wanted to dig into that a little bit. Our chancellor here, Rodney D. Bennett, chancellor here, speaking on some of these things that he talks about. I'm not going to read his whole statement, but you can do that with the link there. But it looks like he's saying, let's see here if I can find his statement here. Sorry about that. Sorry guys. I'm trying to see if I can grab what he had to say. Um, I, okay, I have to go back and try to pull that again. Oh, here it is. It's right in front of me. Sorry about that. Yeah, just interesting stuff to say. I think that this is one of the highest trafficked comments that posts that we had on Friends of First Sky Omaha. He said, "Last month I completed my first year as the 21st chancellor of the University of Nebraska Lincoln. Over the last year, I have asked a lot of questions and have listened intently. I've explored and studied all parts of our campus and traveled our great state from Nebraska City to Scottsbluff. I've heard from our faculty, staff, and students during listening sessions, faculty senate meetings, and in everyday encounters at the Nebraska Union and Huskers athletics venues and art venues, and in countless other ways. I've also heard from our alumni and supporters and seen firsthand the many ways UNL serves Nebraskans through its mission of education, research, and engagement. My main takeaway is that there is a deep love for this institution, and truly there is no place like Nebraska. So proud of what we have accomplished together in a short amount of time. Thanks to you, importantly, we are anticipating that we will break a 6-year trend of enrollment declines this fall. Our retention and graduation rates are rising. Our research productivity, creative activity, and awards have risen to record levels, and we continue to positively impact communities across Nebraska. I've also heard from you that we have more work to do and live up to our full potential, and I agree. So he goes on to talk about some of the things that he wants to do. And doesn't really say too much in this statement about what it is that they're going to have to do as far as the shutdown is concerned. So we'll be looking to see what some of the high up officials there have to say about this. But I can tell you right now, Friends of First Sky Omaha wasn't having it. It was having a little bit of problem there with them taking it away. There was a lot of comments like, "Well, of course." Some people were real hurt. They don't want us here. That's kind of how they feel. Some people even said, "I hope that people see this, and if they're considering coming to the college here, keep in mind what kind of culture we have here." So definitely would love to hear what you have to say on this issue. If you guys want to talk about that more, because it's come up. Marlon Harrison. Oh, I see. Marlon Harrison in particular, I was thinking of you because you put something in Friends of First Sky Omaha on this. People are feeling like it's very unfortunate that this has gone on. So definitely let us know how you feel about that. If you guys want to continue to speak on that, how you think this is going to affect future enrollment and our our people that are here now, our people that are living in town that want to make the decision to stay in town and go to the school. How does this affect our overall feeling about how welcome diversity is? Is this a situation in Omaha and in Nebraska that is mirroring other places in the country where they're taking DEI away? Is this are we that state? Is what is happening with us as well? Let us know how you feel about that. Most definitely. Anthony Rogers right in the chat says the Buffets better start paying black athletes for NIL because that's the only way they are going to be able to recruit black and brown athletes to play in Lincoln.
Mm.
Yeah. So it's a good comment. I mean, that's what I think about too. I think about like, what is this actually going to mean for is this going to go if this office, first of all, was the office doing anything in the first place to really bring some equity? I mean, I kind of got to
Good
start
question.
way back at the beginning there.
It's a good question.
Yeah. And then if they did, what does this mean going forward as far as like you said, recruiting anybody for any of the sports teams, or just any in general, just people deciding to make Nebraska the place they come to study. Interesting stuff. Yeah, let us know what you think in the chat. Most def.
It's definitely screaming, Nebraska's not for everybody.
I mean, that was the state logo.
You
So
know, it's definitely feeling like that. But as far as to your question is, what does this mean moving forward for the university? In his email, according to the Omaha World Herald, in his email to the campus, Chancellor Bennett said UNL would steadfastly uphold the principle that every person and every interaction matters, referring to the overarching theme of a strategic plan published under Green's tenure as chancellor. Chancellor Bennett said UNL would continue to recruit and support faculty, staff, and students from all backgrounds and identities, and will continue to support the ongoing efforts of several existing diversity offices on campus, one of which the Jackie Goggin Multicultural Center will remain open and active, as will the Institute of Ethnic Studies, the Women's Resource Center, and the LGBT Resource Center. UNL will also continue offering courses in the Women and Gender Studies program, among others. So
yeah.
there you go. There you go.
Appreciate it. Our brother Pena's comment in the chase says the only reason they don't want us to be talking about African multicultural is because history does not reflect timely well on our European counterparts regarding relationships with Afro multicultural American public has and American eugenics highly prevalent.
Mm.
I think I got the gist of what you mean on this as well, and yeah, I definitely feel like they talk about brain drain. I think who just said that about that? Anthony Rogers Wright. He said and then they sent blackface to be the messenger, as Chuck D said. He's got a quote from Chuck D there. I'll let you read.
Yeah.
That's not the comment I was looking for. I think it was here
Marlon
it is,
Harrison.
Marlon Harrison. Right. A lot of people that I said this is going to cause huge brain drain. We hear that
Yep.
comment, we hear that phrase brain drain all the time. Um, but now I'm thinking about it in a different way. I feel like they're not really talking about whether or not we're in there. They're talking about whether or not they lose white students to other places, or whether or not they are gaining the kind of population they think they want here.
Just
They don't think nothing about whether or not we leaving the state.
you think
You know
so?
what I mean? Yeah, I kind of do. I mean, kind of that's the feeling I get, and I think that's the feeling a lot of people get. Is that it's not for us. Somebody said it in Friends First Album. I think it was Bree Full or somebody made a comment like, they don't want us here. Is they make it obvious?
hmm I mean, that's pretty much how I ended up in Atlanta. That's you
Mm,
know based on where I went to school, because I went to school 4 hours from here. This is where most of my network is. Most of the
interesting.
people that I connected in college with, most of the people, just the things that I've seen, it's all here. And that was a big part culturally of why, I mean, you tell me, go to UNL or go to HBCU. As a,
Man.
young so-called black kid from North Omaha, I'm going to choose my culture and learn more about my culture and be submersed in my culture. I didn't want to go to rodeos for homecoming. I just,
Mm,
you know,
you don't want to learn square dancing in school?
no, no.
Man. Yeah, that you're right, and I don't feel like when they're talking about fighting the brain drain, that's what they're talking about. I think they're talking about other folks
Hmm.
is what I
Hmm.
mean by that.
Who they consider the talent.
Yeah, and to Anthony Rogers' right point, that's what I'm thinking too. The only time I ever really kind of hear about them caring too much about it is when they need to get the sports team up and running right.
Man.
You know what I mean? So yeah, I gotta keep on revisiting this question about DI in the first place.
Hmm.
Was it just for show anyway? Are these offices just for show anyway? A lot of people have that feeling like when after George Floyd, whole bunch of DEI positions popped up, offices popped up. Were they making a difference? Because I remember us reporting the whole time about how they were just for show. So what were they actually doing? The sentiment that I get from people talking on Friends of First Sky Omaha is, yeah, of course. Yeah, but it also feels very symbolic. The people who are making these comments also are the people that were saying all along, these positions were kind of for show. So
Hmm.
they didn't feel like they were really doing much. Are we losing much by not having this office?
Well, to your point, I do find it funny two things. One, that in the announcing of this decision, they do there's a point that alludes to just nationally what's going on, kind of the national temperature. Like, after looking at the national landscape, we figured this was a good decision. So yeah, yeah, I do like what about the national landscape are they looking at that kind of is it the Trump effect that's going on? Is it other DEI programs? Other people like, oh, okay, well, it looks like we don't need the show anymore. And then also your whole theory about what actually moves institutions like universities, municipalities, what gets them to act right, what gets them to do the right thing, and it's always being embarrassed. It's always headlines. It's always the news. And
Or
according to
or
this
or
article,
litigation?
yeah, or litigation. And according to this article, that was kind of the case for UNL to even create its Office of Diversity and Inclusion. It says the office was born out of a series of high profile racist incidents at UNL's campus that highlighted a lack of strategy by the university for dealing with such incidents. Those include a student using a racial slur repeatedly during a meeting of the Association of Students of the University of Nebraska. Also, racist messages were written on the sidewalk outside the student union, and also a homecoming skit that included racial and ethnic stereotypes that students and others found offensive. So, some of these things, put the university in a unsavory light, and they responded. But I guess
Mm.
I feel like they don't need that anymore.
Jumping in the chat real quick, Brother Pena said the sad thing about DEI programs were funded, but they weren't really immersed into everyday college life because the whole purpose of it for the DEI program to die. So he
Mm,
felt like it was
sure.
yeah, for sure, basically, yeah. Tony Johnson in the chat says it tells a lot when the Nebraska colleges spend more energy recruiting minority students from outside of the state than within.
Mm,
Interesting. Heather Williams is a bigging up HBCU. She says nothing like an HBCU. Langston's 96.
man,
Shout out. That's
shout
what's up.
out, shout out.
Anthony Rogers Rice says DEI was absolutely in all caps an institution manifestation of white guilt. Nonprofit corporations and educational institutions have become more racist since the summer of 2020. Just goes to show you there are truly no whites after Labor Day when it
Mm.
comes to solidarity with anti-racism. Yeah. Yeah, I definitely experienced that myself, man. I had a lot of white friends that came out like, I'm like, what changed? Why y'all out here now? She said, well, we're out of work. We're off work. We got time. And
Mm.
so we hit the marches and we listening. Yeah, and then everybody went back to work. You know what I'm saying? So
That part. That part.
yeah, and then we're back to the status quo. So Tony Johnson says
Black
black students are
jobs.
not even considered in conversation about brain drain. This is my point right here. He says local colleges have written off many black students because of the failing districts they attend. That's
Hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. I mean, when let's just be honest, when especially colleges and universities, when they're talking about diversity, they're not talking about the poor black kid down the street. They're talking about, let's just call it what it is, multinational students. They want the multinational talented second generation, first generation students. That's the diversity that most universities are looking for.
Mm, interesting,
Poor black and brown kids, no. You can work in the kitchen.
man.
I had a couple homies who worked at Creighton's kitchen. Hey,
Straight up,
you can work
straight
in the
up.
kitchen.
So yeah, so anyway, I think I really it was impressed by how many people kind of chimed up on Friends of First Sky Omaha on this particular subject. But again, I really feel like it's all we all feel like yeah, makes sense why they would act. Everybody's not surprised. Everybody's kind of hurt. Feels like a very symbolic thing. But again, what are we really missing with that office being gone out here? It's already been like it was.
Man, there you
Tony
go.
Justice says we as a culture made the mistake of once again celebrating something that we had no input in or control of. We felt like these DEI offices and DEI representatives were going to do that. I remember a lot of people being hired. But I started being disenfranchised about it as soon as they let Sharif Lararu go from OPS,
Man,
who was doing really great work with diversity and inclusion, and was head of that office. Interesting. While you were away, I was telling the story. I just went out to go see JBH, Jonathan Benjamin Alvarado, friend of First Sky Omaha.
hmm
His position is head of the DEI department at TCU, and so
mm.
now I'm learning about all this work that he's doing in Texas of all places. It seems like this Christian university got more diversity going on. Come back to this news about our university here. It's and Mama God had a point too about the dichotomy. Like how is it there? What are we really losing with this office? We just talked about them expanding the Black Studies program. So what do we if they're doing that, but they're taking away the DEI office? I mean, maybe the DEI office is just not a great loss, bro.
Mm.
I keep on saying, "What say you?" You guys are speaking on it, so I appreciate that. Appreciate that you have.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, got word on it. I think we got enough of a wind up on this particular subject to form some thoughts and know what we think on that. And if you have any other information on these subjects, let us know. I think we can pretty successfully move on from it. I think
Yeah, I
we
think
all
you
kind of
hit the nail on the head.
yeah, I think we all kind of on the same mind of it. So let's take a quick break and we'll come back and jump into some other news. I appreciate you bearing with us through the technical difficulties and everything happening today. 7:39 right now. If you believe in the concept of time and you're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning,
In the morning.
Paul B, Buddy to God, all of you chat chimers, ghost listeners, monitoring spirits.
Man.
Tell a friend, share the show. We'll be right back. More discussion, more news to come. Stay tuned. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Thanks for joining us. First guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
I'm Paul B. He's Buddy the Guy. Just want
Hey,
to throw
hey.
in the link to the OEAA Awards .org. Hit that link and vote now. The voting is going on now, and it'll be shutting down here on August 31st.
Man,
Our partners over there, OEAAs, are doing the good work of trying to put that together. If you have artists in town that have put some work out in this last year, definitely check it out and go ahead and put in your public nomination for all the arts. They got everything that you can think of over there. Your favorite musician, favorite visual artist. There's all kinds of categories there. So check it out and plug in the one that you like the most. DJs. I mean, I'm anxious to see
man.
which DJ is going to win the award this year.
Costume
Yeah,
designers. I mean,
yeah,
yeah,
everything, everything.
yeah,
I'm thinking about DJ Shorty, who's been a nominee for the past like 12 years, never won.
yeah.
I hope she wins this year. He's down.
Yeah. Travesty. It's a travesty.
Travis, yeah, I appreciate you. Appreciate you guys staying with us. What's next on the agenda before we get into it? Just to let you know, we will come back to some of these subjects
Yep.
after the 8 o'clock hour, so we can talk a little bit further about them. I'm not going to lose your comment there, brother Anthony Rogers, Wright and Marlon Harrison. Appreciate you guys very much. And yeah, let's jump into some other news while we still have time in this hour to do so. Buddy, what's next on the agenda?
Yeah, jumping into what's going on, the Douglas County Department of Corrections, again, a new mental health edition. They just broke the ground on that actually, so construction is already underway. This isn't even anything that's a point of discussion anymore. It's a done deal. They broke the ground. It
Yeah.
is coming. And how do we feel about it? Did anybody hear about this? More importantly, this is a very interesting. $34 million, and you guess it, taxpayer dollars going to this. But again, did anybody hear about this? Was there any public input? Was there any call for this, or is it just more beds? This is expected to be done by late 2026. Again, the Douglas County Department of Corrections is in downtown Omaha. Will have a dedicated mental health wing. A county and construction officials broke ground yesterday, actually, on the 34 million 80 bed facility that will be built in place of a parking lot on the north side of the existing jail. The facility, Douglas County Corrections Director Mike Myers says, will serve as a dedicated space for mental health professionals and corrections officers to treat patients with the most severe psychological conditions at a critical stage. For the first time ever, the Douglas County community will have a space specifically designed for the treatment and care of those who are incarcerated and have mental illness. While the jail routinely has more than 500 people with mental illness in custody, which has made up more than about 50% of the jail's population, Myers said that the dedicated mental health edition will allow certified and trained staff to treat inmates who have especially alarming psychological conditions, including severe depression and suicidal behavior. But here we are, more beds, more
Mm.
cases. What say you? What say you?
Yep. Yep. Let's say you definitely put it to the chat. What do you feel like? Where do you feel like this is like Buddy's asking, more beds? Is this just more beds? Is this going to help? I feel like this mental health approach that they're trying to go for here is because of the outcry. Everybody's been saying, hey, we need more mental health support. So what does it mean? What does it mean if this is their attempt for that? I'll put it to the chat. Definitely want to hear what you guys have to say on that one. Okay,
Here's some
pictures of this
photos.
facility. Mhm.
Yeah, kind
The
of
fu
giving hospital type feel,
Well, yeah, yeah.
but
Therapeutic elements, that's interesting. The
yeah,
future mental
natural
health addition
lighting.
to the Douglas County Department of Corrections will include venues for natural light, soothing colors, and other therapeutic elements.
Yes, there you go. So
Yeah.
it's not just concrete and bars, but still jail. You
Yeah, I mean, it's
still,
pretty much brick and bars everywhere else, so I don't know where this particular room would sit in the middle of all that, but, interesting.
yeah, yeah. But again, it's still a situation where you got to have a case in order to get a bed.
Yeah, that's true too. Yep. Where's the support?
You
Where's the
know,
support before you get in trouble?
right, right. Before it gets to that point, I mean, that's kind of the glaring thing for me in all of this is anytime we're talking about any mental health program or any mental health initiative that's being rolled out, it's somehow connected to the police,
Yeah.
and I just don't understand that. Why not the hospitals? Why not take it from a health perspective rather than a penal type angle on this whole
Mhm.
thing.
I mean, even if you, and that's even if you get into those programs, if you something happens, you get in trouble. If you can even get into those programs, so definitely think there's a lot more attention, taxpayer dollars that should go to prevention. But that's what it is. Brother Pina in the chat says about we actually address the issue at hand. Do mental health problems, meaning we need more counselors, we need more psychologists and psychiatric talk about the Department of Health and Human Services. Yeah, where do they stand in all this? Are they part of this
Man,
part of the situation? DHHS. Tony Johnson in the chat says just going to recycle staff from other programs that do not address the issue impacting black youth. Feel that. A lot of shuffling and recycling going on, it feels like. And again, if I'm in trouble and I need some mental health, within the prison system is not necessarily where I feel like I would want to try to get something done before that. But maybe you will help people that are in the system already. It's hard to tell. I don't know if it's going to be more of the same. It's hard to tell anytime they're talking about doing anything for mental health. If they whatever moves they're trying to make for mental health means number one, they're addressing that there's a mental health issue and crisis that we
mhm,
got going on here.
mhm.
We may not agree with their solutions all the time, but is it something that will help? Not sure. Brother Anthony Rogers Rice says, I agree with Guillermo. The above all when it comes to mental health, we simply need more humanity and compassion.
I mean, that's my issue. It seems like that's not the case from the onset, even with the Cahoots program. Like, just think about in general. If I have a relative or I myself am going through a mental health crisis, going through a manic, episode, who do I call?
Right. We have too many stories that even in our own family where we call the police. Who else do you call when something's going down like that?
Who else do you call? Do you call the ambulance? And if you call EMT, do they bring the police?
Yep.
As far as I know, the Cahoots mental health specialists that are supposed to answer these types of calls, they're connected to the police, not any hospital.
Yeah.
And now we have this mental health facility that's connected to Douglas County Correction. So again, are you once the Cahoots comes and picks you up, you're not going to the hospital still. You're going to jail.
Right. Straight up. And we know what that jail looks like. We've seen it.
Man.
We know what that facility is. This is a let me see if I'm just found a picture here that they're kind of showing like an outside look of this. Let me see if I can grab it real quick. And I think it's pretty interesting that this is
Mm.
the renderings here on that.
And while you pull that up, I'll just share this. Is what comes to mind. Yep, there you go. What comes to mind when they're talking about this is the sentiment that Senator Wayne is expressed as far as it's not really it's all about preventing the next Nico Jenkins,
It's Fear the
and it's
One.
kind of right, and it's kind of like CYA more so than actually getting the people who need help. It does not seem like that's the perspective.
Yeah. Tony Johnson says too much optimism and hope for a system that has shown for decades no interest in the betterment of black people. Anthony Rogers Rice says we passed a program in NYC that gave a special number for mental health crises. However, the program was co-opted and they started showing up to incidents with cops that led to 3 police shootings of unarmed folk having a crisis. Guns and mental health crises mix as well as oil and water do.
Mm.
So even in a place where they put something together in order to help the situation got co-opted, police still come out, still incidents. It's what this is the main thing we're afraid of. And a lot of times, I know a few black families. Like I said, some of this even happened in my own family where somebody was having a mental break, and a male specifically a man in the house, some of the people got scared in the house and was like he needs some help, he needs to get picked up. There's where do you even if you're in the crisis, where do you even think to call if
Right.
something like that is happening, you feeling threatened, you're gonna call the police straight up.
Yep.
It's not even like even if we had another number, which we do, I think we have another mental health number that you can call, but nobody's even really thinking of that. Nobody in the moment because it's so ingrained. that if somebody's wilding out, they need to get restrained. So it's even like a thing that we need to kind of change our whole thinking on. Even you know, calling an ambulance. Can an EMT hold somebody down if they need to? Can an EMT forcefully sedate someone, or whatever the deal is? If it got violent, if it got crazy, what 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 would they be able to do? Well, they didn't train to be restraining folks. They didn't
Hmm.
train like the police did. They might bring the police officers with them because they need somebody to control the situation, a physical control of the situation. And they're the only ones that have license to physically control anybody is the police. So how does that get addressed? But again, even if it's that way, what we can ask for more police training, maybe they can get trained more on these situations and let the mental health person follow their lead on it. They still going to get brought back to the jail and have to be dealt with. So it's a nuanced situation. It's something that needs more thought. And how does this new facility fit into that thought? Tony Johnson says, keep in mind that every funded service or program needs numbers and incidents to maintain funding. It's all about the money and jobs. The benefit of the person in need is secondary.
Man,
Yeah,
pretty
I
much it.
mean, I can see, I can definitely see how you feel that way. I definitely think that people are recognizing that we have a mental health crisis. It's just
Yeah.
we're not agreeing on what to do about it all the time.
Yeah. And per the article, this is it. They are saying that a lot of these facilities, and this one in particular, is a response to the calls for mental health resources, especially after COVID-19.
Mhm.
But to your point, I don't like. Although the need was addressed during COVID, I don't think this is the way that a lot of people in the community who were asking for it envisioned it. As far as more police oversight, more beds connected to prisons and jails. Um, you know, I'm pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it was more of a community aspect, more mental health aspect.
Preventative health.
Yeah, right, right. Holistic family and not needing a case to actually get some kind of help.
With this news desk here, we're definitely lean towards the solutions journalism side. So we're always looking in different places around the country that are doing different things. Anthony Rogers Wright gave us that example about what they did in NYC and some of the dangers even then of putting the program together because it can get co-opted by the police and police have to come out. Again, this is a issue that I'm sure a lot of cities are dealing with. How do you figure that out? How do you address somebody who's having a mental break without involving I wouldn't even say without involving police, but without involving any kind of physical force
Hmm.
that is associated with law enforcement. It may be the police. I'm just not sure. Like I think it's something that needs to be well thought out more. And this seems like a jump to what same old. Let's put another facility together, put more beds, let's do it in the prison, let's make it a law enforcement thing, let's get tough on crime. You know what I'm
Pretty
saying?
much. Pretty much.
Yep. 7:54 right now. If you believe in the concept of time, we appreciate everybody's comments on these subjects as well, and also really appreciate everybody who puts things in Friends of First Sky Omaha that we pull from there. This lets us know some of the issues that you think is important to you. We're definitely going to be sending out more surveys and things with the newsletter, so highly encourage you to sign up to the newsletter. The purpose of it is for us to be able to communicate back and forth, and even though maybe Channel 7 or Omaha World Herald has a headline that may or may not affect us, we create our own headlines here. We want to know what you want to talk about, what you think is important. Hit us up for the weekly wrap that comes out every Friday. You can send us an email to firstsky omaha@gmail.com and drop that in there if you would. And I do have a link I'll drop into the chat right now. If you want to do it right now, you can hit this link and go right to it, enter in your email address, and start getting the weekly wrap. Fight the algorithm. We
Man.
cannot spread the word the way that we're trying to spread the word on Facebook and YouTube because they throttle, actually on Facebook in particular, they throttle how many people you can talk to and how many new people that can find you because they want to sell ad space. That's how the algorithm works. This weekly wrap newsletter goes directly to your email address, and you can also send us your comments back through the newsletter as well. So we really appreciate everybody who's done this already and signed up already for this. We highly encourage you to do that so we can continue to have these conversations without any kind of interruption. So that's what it's
Man,
all about. Appreciate it very much. Also, Anthony Rogers Rice says, sorry for the shameless plug, brothers, but our analysts analysis of how the Dems are implementing Project 2025 right now is complete. Man, can't wait to check this link out.
okay.
Definitely check the link out, the blackagendareport.com, looks like. So if you're in the chat right now, please go to the chat and hit this link and check it out. He says, and all people of conscience should be reading the Black Agenda Report as much as possible. Appreciate
Check it
that.
out.
Definitely check it out. Yep. 4 minutes to the top of the hour. We have some more conversation that's going to come after the 8 o'clock hour on some of these subjects. So we appreciate everybody's comments. We'll definitely go back and review those and talk about some of the other subjects. And I think that we got some more stories as well to share that we'll also be sharing coming up here in the second hour as well. Because we kind of had a few things happen the first hour. We had to drag out the time a little bit on some other stuff
Yeah.
and dig
Yeah.
in a little bit. Yeah. So, so it's all good. It's all good. It's just a little shifting of the schedule here, but we appreciate you hanging with us on that. Vaughn Chapman in the house. Good morning. Says, why are there so many mental health issues lately? Where is the emphasis on prevention and the real cause of today's mental problems?
Good question.
That
Good
is the
question.
question. That is the question. If we can get some preventative help, that's the way to go. Support for the people who are having those problems and support for their families on how they can help with those problems. It's a host of things going on for sure. And we need to address the root causes of those things in a lot of ways. On this show, we'd be following the money. So it's root causes of a whole lot of stuff is poverty.
Man, my
Straight
thoughts
up.
exactly.
Straight up. People,
Poverty.
right, poverty. We're lack of affordable health care, lack of family support, lack of
Healthy food.
everybody in the house working, and people being left alone. Yeah, lack of food desert, the right kinds of food. They're talking about now. I just saw a report now that they're saying those processed foods are messing with children's brain development.
Oh yeah. All that sugar. Yeah, man.
Not just the sugar, it's the processing, it's those preservatives they
Mm-hmm.
put in there, it's eating away.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
it's causing certain parts of the brain to not grow in the way that it's supposed to grow. So, and that on top of what we just went through with this pandemic, I still see people suffering the effects of the pandemic and the isolation. Certain kids hit certain kids that were a certain age when that happened, where they were supposed to be developing their ability to be able to have some social
Mm-hmm.
experience messed up. So many things. Anything that the Chad Chimers, the Ghost listeners, been dealing with? Love to hear your stories as well. This is always about us sharing each other's stories. And if you would be willing to do that, please do that. Do it in the chat. Do it on Friends of First Sky Omaha. Love to hear what you're going through as well firsthand.
Big time.
Yep.
Big time.
Coming up on that 8 o'clock hour, let's go ahead and jump and take that break, and then we'll come back and have some more discussion. Really appreciate everybody hanging with us right now. Again, if you are just joining us, our special guest Maya is not going to be on today. We'll reschedule him for another day, and we'll talk about the reason why another time. But there's more news to come, more things to come. We'll definitely check it out. Pops in the chat said something earlier. We played a track from his new album. He says Pop's theme on the upcoming album Instrumental 8 next month. Okay, so
Okay.
he's been dropping stuff. Go to Pops's page, Paul B. Allen the third on Facebook, and see what he got going on. He's been dropping some albums and definitely making us proud around here with the work that he's done.
Man.
We uncovered a whole bunch of stuff that he's done in the past and revamping that stuff and bringing it out. Man, I heard our brother Rayford Jones call it real homegrown music. So that's what's up.
Okay. Getting down. Getting down.
Getting down. And for those of us our age with this, we got some samples opportunities here coming
Man.
from the pop stuff. So yeah, definitely check it out. We'll be right back, and we'll jump into the second hour. Stay tuned. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
Paul B. Buddy to God. Appreciate you.
Hey,
Stay
don't touch
tuned.
nothing.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. First Sky Omaha Radio. First Sky Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All B, buddy the guy. It is Wednesday, the 21st of August. Man, we zoomed through the month.
Man.
We had planned on talking about Black August at the beginning of the month. Here we are on the 21st day, still just now talking about Black August. Definitely check out what Malcolm X Memorial Foundation has going on with Black August coming up. And also, don't forget about this haps right here, man. The Hands Off the Votes that's happening
Man.
on August 24th is also at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation. Shout out to Queen Shamika, who sent us all emails talking about this issue with the law being passed so that felons have the right to vote and it being challenged and everything that's going on. And here we are trying to gather together now and rally so we can fight that. And that's happening August 24th from 1:30 to 3:30 at the Malcolm X Memorial Foundation, 3448 Evans Street. So definitely check it out. And like I say, if you know Shamika Simpson, definitely hit her up on social media and tell her that you are want to help and you want to get down with the cause and figure out what all we can do. Also,
Man.
before we go on, just want to give a shout out to Drunk Ship Coffee. Hit up drunkshipcoffee.com and order your coffee beans. This is a Black owned family out in California who is sourcing beans from one particular farm in Ethiopia, which is the birthplace of coffee. And they put a very sophisticated roast on. It's a little bit of a lighter roast. You're not really supposed to be burning your coffee the way that we kind of do here with the dark roast stuff.
Man.
So, as far as I'm concerned, superior roast, and they can deliver it to you. So go ahead and hit them up at drunkshipcoffee.com. And for those of you that don't hear me right on the mic, that's DRUNKSHIP. P is in Paul at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Drunkshipcoffee.com. And shout out to them for sponsoring us as well. Shout out to Ashley Spivey as well, who is really kicking in, man. She's like trying to work with us on getting the word out for her as well. So if anybody wants to campaign with us or anybody wants to utilize our services when it comes to advertising, let us know. You can hit us up on firstsky.omaha at Gmail. But shout out to Ashley who reached out to us and was like, hey, let's get this party started. She's running for Legislative District 13, and she's doing a whole lot more out there as well. But she's got a meet and greet fundraiser coming up September 9th. You can ask her and talk to her personally and find out all the stuff that she's involved with and things that she's working on, even above and beyond running for District 13, which is Senator Wayne's seat that he's in right now. After he gets term limited, we would love to have Ashley in that seat, and the new dynamic duo be Ashley Spivey and Terrell McKinney. That would be great.
Man.
The work that they can get done in the legislature. But definitely go talk to her personally at Cumbia. That's 329 South 16th Street. And it's a nice little restaurant over there, September 9th from 5 to 7, meet and greet fundraiser. Shout out to Katie Weiss, who's hosting this. And shout out to Ashley Spivey for doing the work. She door
Man.
knocks and goes out and works hard every single day. Every single
Definition of
day
boots to the roots.
while raising a family, while helping run business, and while being founder of IB Black Girl and all the stuff they're doing too. So she's turned out to be one of the hardest working women in the community as well. Shout out to her, man.
Man. Boots to the roots in a real way. So
In a
yeah,
real
yeah,
way.
big shout out. Big shout out.
Sue Kessler Hagen says, smoothest coffee I ever had. Shout out to you
Okay.
for hitting up Drunk Ship. I appreciate that. Very, very smooth roast for sure.
Yeah.
On stuff. Yep. Everybody's in the chat, man. You guys what's happening? You guys going off. Von Chapman, it appears the philanthropy and government officials have monetized the misery of the purposely disenfranchised.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Marlon Harrison is talking to Tony Johnson. These nonprofits and some new Black leaders are doing a lot. Okay. That was in response to Tony Johnson saying, with so many nonprofits getting funding and new Black community leaders popping up every week, where is the disconnect? What are these groups with funding actually doing? We talk about this a lot. We can kind of look at what they're actually doing. We that question came up about the Empowerment Network a while back, and we actually went personally to go find out some of the stuff that we're doing. So we highly encourage people to do that.
Yeah.
Actually doing some really good work. They just made an announcement about the 600 young folks that they just got jobs for the Step Up program that just happened. So me and Buddy were at one of their conventions and personally saw 600 kids in the room rallying up. Yep, straight up. So definitely, like Marlon Harrison said, there's some nonprofits and new Black leaders that are doing some things too. We can't lean on them to do everything, of course, which is why we're here to try to rally and get together and help some of that stuff. So appreciate all your comments on that, and definitely take a look at it.
Yeah, shout out to the BAA as well. What they're doing with the Urban Survival Club, man. Also uh mentoring and guiding young folk in our community on the right path, man. So yeah, I mean, you
Excellent.
just shout out IB Black Girl,
Man,
Ashley Spivey. Yeah, there's some folks doing some things.
man.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
definitely
I
shout
think
out.
I'll be Black Girl got a fund coming up. We have to we have to look at this, but they're talking about trying to help fund some organizations in Omaha out of IB Black Girl. So, they went from, searching for funds in order to be, help some of the funders, help some of the people that's got some good ideas coming up. So that's what it is. Anthony Rogers Wright says, I agree with Comrade Tony. I don't like all this wealthy white philanthropy in our local politics. Remember, folk, nonprofits are corporations too, and they are not for profit. They're not for profit, not anti profit.
Hey,
Yeah,
getting some loot too.
yeah. We definitely agree. Like, you can't depend on that. Like, this is a nonprofit town, and most of it comes from philanthropy, and you can't, that's kind of sways in the wind. I feel like sometimes, like,
Yeah.
what's the trend right now? You know what I mean?
And even
What's
those families don't have a bottomless pit. You know what I mean?
true,
And there's limits to what they either willing or can give away.
true that. Yeah, yep. We got to do it. Tony Johnson says, keep in mind the Empowerment Network received a lot more money just to serve less youth than previous years. Yep. I think they,
Nah,
like I said, we looked into it. They got funds to help other organizations do some things as well.
I don't
So
know.
it's not just for the Step Up program. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just gonna say, if you got some proof, that they're taking more money to do less, that's kind of a, I don't know. Well, we look firsthand. If you got something, let us know.
Yeah. Everybody, there's room for improvement all the way around for sure. With a lot of these things, and anyway, like, to me, it's a moot point because we can't depend on the Empowerment Network or any other
To do it
one
all.
organization to handle everything we need to handle in our communities anyway. The question is whether or not they're helping some and what they're doing. I don't really want to count their nickels and dimes because I'm not really going after that loot in the first place.
Yeah.
And like I said, I see some good that's being done. There's every organization gonna have some good and some bad situations happening. I would like to see a lot more money funneled to like places like the BAA. But again, Black Agenda Alliance, will they even accept certain kinds of philanthropy money because of the idea of let's do for self and let's be isolated and build our own thing. I think there's a lot of value in that too. That's the only way it's going to get built in a big way. So
Yeah.
everybody has different strategies. And I just, hopefully we can kind of keep our eye on stuff and hopefully direct some of those resources and stuff in better ways. Totally agree with that. But yeah, I'd like to see, we definitely also have to acknowledge like what good a program is doing as well as what they need to improve on.
Yeah. I will say one of the keys to life and happiness is control what you can control. You see a need, fulfill it. You can't control what other people do or don't do.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have the conversation so that we can kind of maybe we can get on the same page, and it's not just one person or one entity doing it. We can kind of
Mhm.
spread that out and have a bunch of people attack it because we do have power in numbers, and we need to utilize that. So I do. As a matter of fact, on this particular subject, especially while we have Anthony Rogers right here, I kind of want to say I know that you in particular are anti-capitalist. How do you see things working in this country, the way that we got to battle that and also get something done. So this is a question. This bigger question
Mm.
that I think you won't be able to just answer in one paragraph. Maybe we'll have you on the show again. We can have a conversation about it. But definitely would like to know because I feel that pull and that burden too of like I don't want to. We've been feeling it the whole time. We apply for grants to try to keep First Sky Omaha rolling, and from day one we were just like yeah, I don't want that same experience we had back at Malcolm X Memorial Foundation where we kind of got to depend on that. What happens?
Mhm.
You can't depend on philanthropy money for nothing. You ain't even supposed to depend on it in the first place. Like you definitely got to get some other things going. We feel that pull and that pressure too. But also, how do you play the game? You know what I mean? What's the
Mhm.
ideas here? And I love talking to people that are from somewhere else and have experience doing other things and figuring out other ways to do things. So I value your opinion on that. Love to hear about it. And Tony Johnson, anybody else who has any kind of ideas there on that too, I'm totally open for that. I'm always trying to look for some other different kind of solutions to what it is that we need to get done. besides the traditional, just become an organization and apply for grants and get to know the families in town that's got the money. It never felt secure in the first place.
Oh yeah, it's a slippery slope. I mean, we've seen it. When certain changes of power, certain family members get in certain positions, or just certain things happen where we can't pay for that anymore or as much. So yeah, yeah, definitely play the game as you called it.
Absolutely. Von Chapman says, "Where's Ricky Smith? Free Ernest Jackson? Where's the DED monies? He's just shouting stuff
Man,
out. Just shouting stuff out."
but valuable questions, valid questions, definitely valid questions.
Yeah.
But yeah, yeah, definitely I appreciate everybody in the chat. Let your mind be free, let your voice be heard. Of course, continue if there's anything that we're not talking about, and you feel the community should know about, is a topic of discussion that should be had. Definitely feel free to drop that into the chat. About 45 minutes left in this thing. What you thinking, Paul? What say you?
Yeah. I mean, we can. I think there's some other stories we definitely want to check out and handle, but
Hmm.
I definitely want to spend this hour just having a discussion. There's a lot of stuff going on in the chat. Definitely want to address Tony Johnson. We asked him earlier to come with some receipts on some stuff. He said compared year to year funding from just from for step up to be funded for 1,000 plus youth. When the funding increased, the number of youth enrolled in step up decreased.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Not sure if there's a correlation, a direct tie there on that issue, but it's something to note. Also, Anthony Rogers Rice says BAA Paul, they demonstrate the power of self determination and mutual aid. If 20% of the black folk paid a dues of 10 or $20 a month, and then democratically determine how to redistribute the funds, we would be unstoppable. This is a thought. This is
Hmm.
this is doable. He says, this is why the nonprofits try to suppress people with ideas like Cap Q and Sherm Grand. I used to be the master of the nickname. I think you got it now, brother Anthony
Oh
Rogers.
yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, he says, they're the most dangerous black men in the state, and that's why I love them so much. I like it. Okay, thank you. Give me the ideas, man. That's something that we can put together here. Let's put together some kind of mutual aid black tax and get a account together and start and put everybody on notice on that.
Hmm.
Build that up and then come and vote on where that money goes. Great idea.
Also, kind of brings in mind what's going on with the Inland Port Authority. Not quite
Mm,
as grassroots, but still somebody from the community. Drafting a body, creating a situation, reminding people that the community committee is still being formed. The application window is still open. So if you or somebody qualifies and would like to join this community board, and keep an eye on what's going on and possibly have some say on what's going on with the Inland Port Authority, and remind you that they have authority over about 300 or so acres of Northeast Omaha, mostly large portion of North Omaha. A lot of development going in that area will come through there. So again, another opportunity to have some say about development in the community.
yeah, there you go. Got to keep a eye on that for sure. In the chat, Tony Johnson says, "Stop falling for the okey doke from organizations like this just because they showcase one or two success stories. As the mantra of the show, you need to follow the money and the results." Oh, you talking to us about falling for the okey doke? Um, yeah, like I said, we looked into what we looked into and figured out what we figured out. Don't think we're falling for any okey doke at all, and just running off of a couple success stories that they're saying in the news. I think in general, it's a good thing to help advise people in the community to do, to not fall for just a couple of success stories. But if you're saying that we doing that, then you got that wrong. Stacey Jean in the chat says, Anthony Rogers right, probably the only topic that I agree with you on.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, that's what's up though. But I think that that idea is a great idea. I mean, it still takes us having to come up with loot. We still got to deal with capitalism. We still got to deal with paying the bills before we can get that 20, $30. You know what I'm saying? But you're right. I think that if we if we all have a lot of dollars that we can focus in on other places. That's for sure. I'm with that. uh and it's probably one of many solutions. Like I'm legitimately like want to put out like what are the solutions, what is it that we can do in order for us to shore up each other, We talk a lot about like frequenting black businesses, making sure that we spend our dollars in black businesses, supporting our fellow business owners and what it is they're doing. We always are doing a GoFundMe or some kind of help ourselves and trying to take care of our own folks. And when there's problems that come up or people like the situation where the family's house burned down and we're trying to put this out there, let's raise some money for them. We do that kind of stuff all the time, but what can we do on a greater level in order to have some more control kind of in our situations too, and do something on a bigger level, actually solve some like getting people in homes if they don't have them, housing problems, and making a big dent in what's going on environmentally and so on and so forth. Uh, Takes money to do that in this country. How can we do that if we're kind of against, the system in the first place? So yeah, I appreciate the idea and the solution. I think it's I'd love to do some research on when that has been done in the past for sure.
Yeah.
So yep.
Not
Right
just
on.
take
It
money,
is.
but
Say again.
just saying not just take money, but also organization.
It's the organizing, man. That's the
Yeah.
real part. That's the real thing. Shout out to like you said, Sherman Wells, man, out there doing the work with the Untamed, and took it upon himself to raise his own funds to do some things like that. You can buy the Untamed jacket, and those proceeds go to the good work, man. So it's like, yeah. I hope that we can put something like that for us. Be as a matter of fact, we do have a campaign coming up with the Black Agenda Alliance. They're trying to raise more funds for the more kids to be able to do the Survivors Club. So we'll definitely have brother Q on to talk about that and figure out where some of those dollars can go, and hopefully be able to help some of these kids. He kind of gave me a number about how much it costs for like one kid to go through the program. I think it's something like a couple $100. If you put a couple $100 in there, you can get a kid fully through. But
Hmm.
you know, whatever you can put together, put it together. And I think they got an official campaign that's launching right now. So we'll definitely give a brother Captain Q, as you call him, and figure out where those dollars can go. Other places, other things, campaigns we got going on too. We still are working with raising funds for the Underwood Tenants Group.
Yeah.
This public housing fight the tower shirt is something that we put out. Part of the proceeds go to them, so they can keep on learning about or fighting they're in court. There's court cases coming up and everything now as well. So shout out to Hassani Lee, who we've had on the show before. Go to previous shows and check out his interviews and find out what's going on with that story and the progression of that story as well. He's now progressed from not just fighting for his dad and his situation, but also for all the tenants and all the public housing everywhere and tenants everywhere. It's he's done a lot of research on tenants' rights, and he just wants people to understand what their rights are so they can fight. They can fight for their rights,
Yeah.
and we want to continue to support that. So shout out to him for that. We also got a few of the limited editions, first Sky Re edition shirts with a local artist Sky Ree who helped us, who collaborated on this shirt with us. Part of the proceeds go to the Underwood Tennis Group here as well. For all of these things, you can hit us up by sending us an email to firstsky@gmail.com while we build out our links in our site for you to do it directly. And in the meantime, between time, hit us up and somebody will get back to you on that as well. So appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
All right. What you done?
Yeah.
Oh,
Chat.
Brooke in the house. What's up, Zane? Yeah, we miss you. Miss you too, bro. But Zane is in back in the man, the dude is in school now. So that's what's up.
Yeah.
Yep,
The
yep.
dude.
Which one, man? Which shirt you want, brother Anthony Rogers? Right? He said, "Yo, how do we get that shirt? Hit me up. Let me know what
Yeah.
you need." Yep, yep.
Which one you
Yep.
interested in?
Huh?
So which one are you interested in? And again, proceeds for both go to Brother Hassani Lee, and
Part of the
well, at least yeah,
proceeds.
part.
So
Thank
you're
you.
right.
Part of
So
the
you're right.
proceeds go to assisting with Brother Hassani Lee, who will actually be back in court here pretty soon. So definitely have to catch up with that brother.
Got it. I like how we just talked about brother Chairman Fred last show, man. Fred Hampton. You can kill capitalism with capitalism. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I need to hear, man. I need to hear it. I be at a loss sometimes. Like, what do we actually do here on that?
Man, no, it's definitely real. You kind of like it's like a necessary evil as far as money goes. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
all the things and the games that get played to make it, is very tiring sometimes. But it takes finance to do the things that you're trying to do and to improve things and build things up. So
right. Oh, okay. He did the quote wrong. You can't kill capitalism with capitalism. Okay.
okay, okay. Well,
Okay.
hey,
I
Let me
thought
know
so.
something.
I thought that I was sitting there thinking there's something wrong about that state. Your brother Fred said something else. Um, yeah. So again, that's why we got to come up with these other solutions and talk about how those things work and all that good stuff. So yeah, man, appreciate that. We'll keep on. That's something that I'd love to make an evergreen topic on here too, in the follow the money category. Like not just follow the money, but find the money,
Man,
or do whatever needs to be done aside from money in order for our situation to grow like it needs to grow. So yeah, it's always going to be something that we look into even further. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and talk, have a little bit more discussion, and also jump into a couple other news stories that you guys you guys put in Friends of First Sky Omaha that we want to get to as well. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Again, you're listening to First Sky Omaha in the morning.
in the morning.
Rough show on this Wednesday, bro. The hump day is humping.
Man, man, humping around.
The hump day is humping around. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Don't you touch nothing. Just a little quick smelling of the coffee beans, the drunk
Man,
chip coffee beans.
there you
Yeah,
go.
man. Yeah, let it clear the vocal cords. Get it
Me,
back
me, me,
together.
me, me.
Welcome back, First Guy Omaha in the morning.
In the morning.
All be, buddy to God, all of you chat chimers, man. Really appreciate you guys coming on in the chat. And also, this is a little bit of opportunity. It's not just a podcast or just a talk show or just a news show. It's an outreach. It's a discussion with you, the public, and
Man.
that discussion is the exchange of ideas. We can start with a story, and then we can break off into some theory. It's there's that. At one point, we even described this as a think tank. There's some,
Man.
we got all these different elements going on here that make it so that we can have some deeper thought on subjects, which leads to more action, not just action, but more clear action
Mm-hmm.
on things. So that's what it's all about, and appreciate it. Sean McCarthy said you can tell a company institution's commitment to equality by the work they do when the media spotlight no longer is cast on them.
Oh yeah. Oh
We
yeah.
can say that about a few organizations that we align with, Black Agenda Alliance in particular. So yeah, that's what's up. Appreciate that very much. Also, Von Chapman in the chat says economic independence is how you kill capitalism. Don't be a victim of capitalism.
Okay.
What is economic independence? Definitely
And how do you obtain it?
and how do you how do you obtain it? That is definitely something. I think this is the kind of show that we can talk about that type of thing on for real. For Anthony Rogers Wright says Fred said, talking about Chairman Fred, said we can only kill capitalism with principled socialism. And wouldn't you
Mm.
know it, according to a Pew Research poll, black people of all the racial groups are most supportive of socialist principles once they are explained to them.
Oh yeah.
Mm,
Yeah. I think was that you that was kind of talking of somebody was talking about the difference between like a Eurocentric and Afrocentric state of mind being between the difference between the me and the we.
yeah,
Eurocentric state of mind seems to be through psychological studies is more individualized versus Afrocentric what has concepts like Ubuntu. Um, you know, man,
yeah,
yeah, just the togetherness, the village, if you will,
yeah.
perspective.
It's no coincidence here. We are here in Black August right now, and again, if you missed what we talked about, Black August is a celebration of basically Black revolutionary
Hmm.
and revolutionaries. Black liberation is what Black August is about, and so we celebrate people from the past, like Malcolm X, of course, Haj Malik Shabazz, and also Chairman Fred from the Black Panther Party. Huey Newton, all these people who were about it, and it makes me think about that too, man. They were heavy on communism, socialism back in the day.
Hmm.
A lot of the leaders that we celebrate on Black August wanted the communist side of how to govern. Was very interested in that. Was calling themselves communists, and a lot of them had to flee the country so that they can believe what they believe when it comes to that. I was just at the concert with the Roots, Diggable Planets in the Far Side, and I remember one of my favorite Diggable Planet songs. He says, kids be reading Marx where I'm from. Kids be rocking Clark's where I'm from." He's talking on the song called "Where I'm From," and I remember the first time I heard that as a teenager, I was like, "Wow, they reading the work of Karl Marx." It puts you in this mind state of where they're at, in the same way that the Wu Tang did when it came to in other groups when it came
Yeah.
to
Black
you know
Star.
yeah. So yeah, it was really interesting to think about that too, when you think about what our revolutionary or liberation leaders were into. Yeah. Do you know much about socialism?
Man.
We live in capitalist society. How well do we know that? And do we and and not only how well do we know about other societies like socialism? How much do we already are evolved that way? Trade economies, the way that we take care of each other, like you said, community way that things get taken care of. There's a lot
Man.
of tenets of those ways of life that we already live.
Actually, this is teeing up, a group of stories that I have quite nicely talking about housing. And then big shout out to Sister Stetsy Jean, one of the chat chimers, for dropping this article on us to kind of wrap this up, or not necessarily wrap it up, but tie it in, if you will. But talking about housing, and you're talking about socialism. What does that look like in real time, especially today? We're kind of a far cry since the '60s. It's a different time to be alive, different area. But some of the same energies and maybe some of the same strategies could still work. This is definitely taking a page out of the Black Panther Party, who's still putting in work. Talking about Black Panther chairwoman Elaine Brown, who's making headlines for starting the Black Panther Apartments. Apparently, these are 100% affordable housing complex for low income families in West Oakland. Again, ground zero, if you will, for the Black Panther Party. And apparently, Sister Brown helped raise $80 million for the project, which features about 79 units and includes ground floor businesses for residents in the community. And it is in the heart of West Oakland. Actually, a brief walk from the West Oakland BART station, which apparently makes it an ideal location to access other parts of the city and region within a few minutes. So, talking about access and transport, and the upper levels of the complex are almost completely parallel to the BART track, which can be a disturbing and noisy distraction with all how often the trains pass by. But future residents should not worry. Every apartment has a triple pane window that muffles the sounds, kind of again giving you some quiet and peace in these apartments. But Brown did emphasize that this complex is not transitional housing service or even a survival program. If people want to make their way in this capitalistic world, they have to work for it. She says this is not charity. She said everyone is entitled to housing regardless of their background, but she would not be providing therapy, substance abuse programs, or casework management. This is a place to give people a much needed roof over their head. There are studios and 1 and 2 bedroom apartments available to rent. Each apartment will come furnished with a dining table, sofa bed, and a living room. I'm not quite seeing the price of each one, but residents will begin moving into their apartments starting in September, actually. So very, very soon for that. But here we are. Again, somebody who's well versed in the struggle. Again, former chairwoman of the Black Panther Party, Miss Elaine Brown, and pushing 100% affordable housing complex for low income families. I wonder what that means coming from a Black Panther Party member. And again, I'm not seeing a price in this. So very, very interesting on this article. But what say you, Paul?
Yeah, man. Shout out to Lane Brown, bro. Like, she's been in the game a long time. You're just sitting next to Huey here. Been in
Man,
the game a while, man. And to think of that, she spent all those years putting things together, and now she's here. And one of the things she wants to do is 100% affordable housing. I'd love to learn more about what she's doing and how that it can be replicated. So, shout out to her. And here's a picture of the facility, a rendering of the facility that they're talking about here. So, yeah, man. Of course, we always are asking that question on this channel. What is affordable housing? What does that
Hmm.
mean? This is a person who I'd love to ask what that means to her, how she came up with the 100% affordable, and what that actually means. So it'd be very interesting to speak with her on that. Maybe we can even reach out
Man, that'd
and
be
then
dope.
find out. Yep.
That'd be dope. And maybe we do have the channels. But I would definitely love to hear more on this. Again, I'm not seeing any prices for these apartments. But as she says, this is not a handout. This is not charity, as she says, people will have to work for this. But there's about 7,000 applications that the complex has received already, and the
Mm,
limited amount of units apparently has not stopped people from applying. So I do wonder, what the price is. It sounds like it's not something that people are shying away from, maybe even affordable. But again, we'll definitely love to hear more on that situation. Um, but again, housing, what affordable housing look like? That is definitely a good question. Because unfortunately, when we hear about affordable housing and when we think of affordable housing, too often it looks like what's being experienced here in Omaha at the Rose Manor residence in Midtown.
oof.
Which again, KMTV3 is reporting on residents at Rose Manor Apartments are concerned about the living conditions, which includes bugs, mice, foul odors, holes in the roof, ceilings falling apart, or damage from the storms over the summer not being repaired at all yet. And again, this isn't public housing; these are people who are paying market rate for these apartments. But again, again, Rose Manor, our residents in this area are concerned with how the rain may worsen the holes in the ceiling and the tree branches in the roof. They say on top of that, they're also dealing with bugs, mice, and unpleasant odors, which may be coming from the roof and the holes in the roof. At the Rose Manor, residents believe a foul smell and the gnats are coming through the hole in ceiling. Jamari Whiteside, who's 21, recently moved into the apartments just 5 months ago. She says that she's experiencing bugs, broken appliances, an unsecured front door, cracking ceilings, and odors coming from her vent. She says, I'm kind of upset that because it's my first apartment, I've never had an apartment and everything was going good with the landlord until I started noticing little stuff. Also, Dasani Starks, who lives in the unit above Whiteside, he says that there's a tree limb that has been hitting his window since the storm about 2 weeks ago. The owner says the storm left it their residence. Excuse me. The owner says the storm left it their residence. I talked to say it has been there longer. I'm talking about some of the branches and some of the issues at the unit. Also, resident Stark says, and it does it every time it storms. That it's so good to have a tree company come out now and to cut the tree down. But if it's knocking out my window, what am I going to do to fix that stuff if it breaks my window? Possibly even be charged for it. So again, this is just a tail sign of some of the things that people are dealing with. Thank you. As you see, some of the holes in the roofs, some of the leaking, some of the odors, some of the mold that are coming from these things. And again, it's not just a public housing. It's not just the towers. A lot of apartments in the downtown, midtown area, even kind of South Omaha, North Omaha, really throughout Omaha, if you really want to call it. You remember what happened out on 108th and Maple? At those apartments at Legacy Crossing. So
Mhm.
again, what is going on with housing in Nebraska? What does affordable housing look like? And it seems like too often the housing that can be afforded usually comes with some health issues, and it's not up to
Mm,
code to say the least.
that's the problem. Bon Chapman in the chat says something pretty interesting. He says affordable housing is when you can afford your housing without government control or philanthropic assistance.
There you go.
Good definition. Definitely good definition. Stacey Jean
Yeah.
in the chat says 7,000 people applying for 79 units. This really spotlights the need for affordable housing. And of course, she was lit up for not doing enough. No good deed goes unpunished.
Yeah.
Talking about, yeah, the sister that is putting those affordable units together. Somebody was breaking down what Anthony Rogers Wright did some research on. It says to qualify, residents have to have a household income that is 30% below the area's median income. So
Mm.
there's some qualifications there in order to be able to qualify for the housing. They got to put them in place.
Yep.
Definitely. Tony Johnson is asking about some of that stuff too. Do we know the impact of new housing like Highlander has been for North Omaha? How the life and finances of residents improved? It's a good question. We do know as much as we do know about the Highlander situation is that it is on a sliding scale and it is always full. They very rarely have any open units there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's a good question. Yeah, sure. We'd love to find out about the impact there and how that worked.
Even the new units that they just built, I'm already seeing people in them. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I'm sure there's a waiting list on top of that, which goes back to what Sister Stacey Jean is saying. Spotlights the need for housing that people can actually, literally afford. I believe that it says about 39,000 homes that there needs to be supported and replaced just in the Omaha area alone. So yeah, quite a lot of work to do. Quite a lot of work to do. But what about solutions? What about solutions? There are some things, and I am kind of curious as far as what direction this is going. And
yeah.
I do think that pretty soon people are going to be packed in like sardines. I'm looking at what's going on with Santa Francis and the popping up of small tiny home villages. If you remember, the Santa Francis just had their tiny home village, and actually, Nebraska Examiner is reporting apparently there's some organizations that have teamed up to build about 10,000 more dwellings. Apparently, actually, workshops are part of a broader statewide effort to produce about 35,000 affordable residences by end of 2028, reads the headline. Again, this coming out of Nebraska Examiner, and this is a statewide move. But again, uh, housing is a statewide issue. From North Platte to Omaha, advocates representing towns across Nebraska, according to this article, converged in the capital city earlier this week or last week to launch the Herculean task of building thousands of new residential units for the state's hardest to house populations. Teams from about 10 nonprofits were selected by state officials largely for expertise in this area, including those who are mentally ill and have been formerly incarcerated or have struggled with domestic violence. Over the next several months, the group will gather to hear about funding sources and best practices nationally for developing permanent housing for those populations in need of supportive services. So, again, as I mentioned, this is coming on the heels of the move from the Sienna Francis House, who rolled out their tiny house village, and I do believe they have another one coming. And then it's called the Cottages. There you go, the Tiny House Village project, which is in the North Downtown or Nodo area. About 50 standalone homes, each about 250 square feet, so not very large, but again, a small area for those to be moving in. And I'm thinking about that in tandem with what we just seen with the ADUs being passed in Omaha, the accessory dwelling units, kind of the in-law suites, kind of the backyard home type situations. And I'm just wondering, as far as the housing, is that kind of the solution that's popping up? Is that the solution that's coming up to the top? Or more and more people, as this housing thing, you struggle to pay for apartments? We're seeing, $2,000 studio apartments pop up. Um, are more people going to move to tiny houses in smaller areas? Is that the solution for housing that's being presented?
Here's a picture of their. If you can't really see it very well, but this is a rendering of how the area is supposed to look. I see a whole lot of trees on this thing, even though I can't really see what the houses are. But here's the actual reality of these little tiny houses being built,
Yep.
and this is what they'll be looking like, how close they are, the area. So yeah, that's a good question. And of course, we know the Sienna Francis House is one of the only homeless shelters and stuff that we have here. There's lots of beds inside. It kind of looks like a prison inside a little bit with
Mm,
bunk beds right next to each other, whole rows of them everywhere. Because and people use them all the time, man, because there's such a homeless situation going on out here. So,
yep.
shout out to them for doing anything, trying to build anything out. But yeah, is this going to be a something? This going to be a pattern for how we deal with affordable housing elsewhere. Wanda Lewis in the chat says my guess would be that all of the tiny houses will be in North Omaha. Yeah, it's going. I think they're going to be right around there for sure. Anthony Rogers Wright says low wealth social housing. We will never house all the poor folks who need it if we base qualifying solely on income, not wealth.
Mm,
That's interesting. Marlon Harrison in the chat says, I remember when after the Yale Park situation, a lot of people went want Omaha and OHA to hold landlords accountable, but they said it was out of their control.
Yep.
Guillermo, Brother Pena in the chat says these are conglomerates, old corporations that own those apartment complexes, so they are going to flood in the market with overpriced rental apartments.
Mm.
We know that Brother Pena in the past has commented as a property owner himself. He says no, because conglomerates, corporations will dig into tiny housing markets and try to invest in those niches. Yeah, we know what you meant. That's the niche of the tiny house. They'll try to also get into that as well. Seems like,
Hmm.
companies like BlackRock and all these other huge corporations really are stepping into trying to own everything, so everybody got to rent from them. That's been a national story that's been going on. So yeah, this is a same situation. As much as we talk about follow the money as a tenant for this show, we also talk about space is the place. The whole season two, where we talk about housing, and we launched this show. It was when a housing crisis, started to happen here. So it's been an ongoing conversation. What's going to happen with just not just our most vulnerable people, but just everybody else as well. What can we do?
Yeah. I mean, especially, I'm kind of more I think about it, where's the economy going?
Mm,
And, is this a tell sign of how, are we all going to find ourselves in these types of situations in the future? Especially if, inflation continues the way it goes, the housing and just the job market continues the way it goes. Is this a tell sign? Because I'm also thinking of, Atlanta. They just rolled out a tiny home village for the homeless. And it's being set up, this is for the homeless, this is for those dealing with mental illnesses and addiction and things like that. But how many of us, how close are we all from being homeless? Let's be real.
yeah,
Especially if the middle class continues to whittle away. What does that mean? As we're kind of already seeing the writing on the wall. As the rich gets richer and the poor gets poor, what does that mean?
yeah. We can think about our incomes. We can think about our jobs, how much money we actually make. Like Tony Johnson's saying, so in North Omaha, if you make more than 31,000, you would not qualify. So if you make $50 an hour, good luck talking about some of these qualifications to get in some of the low income housing as well. That's
Man,
also a problem. The gap.
the
What
Clifford
happens?
Gap.
What happens when you make a little bit too much to
Yeah,
qualify
but
for
not
some of the
enough.
program, but not enough to really do what you got to do, right? Um, so, and then again, you said it earlier because, and this was my experience too, looking for housing that we can afford at whatever, uh, you know, income rate we have. A lot of times, those ones that you can afford, bad conditions,
Man,
unlivable conditions. That's not getting fixed fast enough. Hence the whole tenants' rights. Hence the whole fight for the landlords, like Wanda Lewis is saying in the chat. They want to hold landlords accountable, with the exception of OHA, right?
man,
Uh, so yeah, it's got to happen that way. Anthony Rogers Rice says corporations should not be allowed to be in real estate at all. Good luck if Trump gets in on
man,
stopping that. He said they should be local based entities that are accountable to local oversight. Not the trend, bro.
at
It's
all.
you saying a whole lot of shoulds, and we totally agree. But that's not that's it's going exact opposite direction. Exact opposite direction. Tony
Yeah,
Johnson said over. Go ahead.
just the I'll never forget there was a report here in Atlanta, and the property that I'm in right now just got bought up by one of the corporations. Just three corporations that owns a good 70% of the houses in the Atlanta area,
Yeah,
and my house is one of those. So yeah, to your point, it is not looking good. It's going in that complete opposite direction.
and follow the money, man. I wager that you are also those corporations that you notice are buying up your house. I bet you they're part of a conglomerate,
Yeah,
bigger corporation, the Black Rocks and stuff of the country, like buying up whole swaths of houses. So for sure. Also, Tony Johnson says overpriced rentals by corporations help us private landlords keep properties full at reasonable rates. Only drawback is that we do not have enough properties to offer. Okay. Ceci Jean says Hughes' assumption that homelessness and unemployment are synonymous. I've known homeless people who are employed. Very true.
yep.
Yeah, we gotta make that distinction for sure. I know people that are working 2 jobs still can't afford to get into a house.
But
For
and
sure.
that's kind of my point though. Where is this thing going? Even the people who are working multiple jobs, as you said, still can't afford a roof over their head. And now we're seeing more and more of these low income, tiny home type situations where, $8 million can give you 40 homes.
Right. Anthony Rogers Wright says, "Do respect Paul BlackRock right Kamala's economic policies." You ain't gotta. I ain't arguing with you about that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. We don't talk enough about like BlackRock and some of these other entities that are out here making things happen the way they are happening. We focus hyper locally because we're trying to solve the things that we can personally solve and touch here locally that affect us, because there's not a lot of attention being drawn to that. But we don't push away the national tie-in to everything that's going on here nationally as well. That is a part of what's happening here. My sister was telling me about the houses being bought up on her block that a major
Man,
corporation out of Kansas City is buying up. We're all going through the same thing because they got this whole agenda, and they can't do it without the politicians. They just can't do it. And
yeah,
and so yeah, so they yeah, we've been knowing for a minute that's what's up. Also, he says, Brother Pena says, and in my opinion, finding the skilled workers to help me continue fixing the properties I want is hard. And I'm sure the price of materials that have gone up tremendously is hard. I saw a meme yesterday with a car that a piece of plywood had gone through the windshield of the car, and the caption was, I'm gonna just say forget the insurance here. I'm gonna sell this piece of plywood back to get my car fixed. Basically, was saying that the plywood was so high in cost right now that it was
man,
cheaper. It was cheaper to sell that and buy a new car. And it's because of those prices. We have a friend, Amy H. Dot, a friend of First Sky Omaha, Chat Chimer, that works in that field and talks about how everything is quadrupled in price. So you building the wall now is gonna you gotta pay so much to fix stuff in the first place that landlords are suffering as well. So there's so many things, so many facets to it that I'm asking the same question you asking, buddy. Like, where is this all going for real?
man. I mean, Mr. Stewart in the chat calling it. He says, "Where's it going? A complete have not society."
Yeah.
A
But
complete have not society. And if the property tax situation in Nebraska is any indication, it's not improving anytime soon.
yeah, and if that happens, I gotta say, in just studying the little bit of history that I have, people ain't gonna let that fly.
What you mean?
When it turns into a complete have nots to have,
Oh,
there's
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. With
it's
the
gonna
whole
be
let them
some
eat cake.
Marie
Yeah.
Antoinette gonna be going on around here
All
for real.
right, all right, for
Just
real.
saying.
But it's not looking good. It's not. I actually just looked it up, and so the company that owns my home is called Invitation Homes and is based in Dallas. So we have all these multinational major corporations and I'm thinking of everything like the writing on the wall is it's a slippery slope, man, because we're talking about the tenants and with the tenants, but the more I think about it, it does kind of seem like it makes more sense for homeowners as you're talking about the price of materials going up and what it costs to actually maintain these homes to have a tenant in it. It might make more sense for a homeowner to sell to some of these major corporations for a home that they're just holding on to have some rental income. But the price of property taxes and it's just at what point it kind of seems like it goes beyond the private landowners. Like it really is these major corporations that are leaning on this whole thing. And I'm reading the bio of this the CEO of the company, and this is jumping out. It says, as founding member of Invitation Homes business, Mr. Tanner, Dallas Tanner, who's the CEO, was at the forefront of creating the single family rental industry,
Mm,
which single family rental industry
mm,
screams mega corporations,
man,
billionaires.
that's hot. That's wild. Um, yeah, that's really wild. Sherman Wells in the chat. Good morning. I wonder if your ears were tingling. We were just talking about you, talking about the work that you do. He says, I get daily requests from help uh, for help from tenants facing slumlords, and sometimes it only takes me writing a letter putting the landlords on notice that they are violating the tenants' legal rights. The landlords have gotten used to Omaha residents just accepting poor living conditions
Mm,
and poor landlord conditions, poor management. You
yeah.
know, they I know so many people, and me included, that thought it was legal for them to come in and be like, "You got 3 days, be out."
Mm.
And
And specifically to the story we just covered with Rose Manor in Midtown, he says the owners of Rose Manor in Midtown is very arrogant, with the attitude of y'all better be happy that you have a place to stay, which is kind of the that's the vibe across the board, really. And I'm kind of curious, brother Sherman, as you're, addressing these landlords directly. Are these local landlords that what's the kind of the breakdown that you're seeing? Are these a lot of local landlords? From what you're saying, it sounds like it's not. He says the landlords have gotten used to Omaha residents just accepting poor living conditions. So from reading between the lines, it sounds like they're from out of the city and have identified that these city folk in this particular city are okay with this.
yeah, we had Don Curry on, who's a local
Developer.
individual born and raised in Omaha, and he just put together some properties. Actually, bought the land through the land bank and worked with them on
Mhm,
trying to get some properties up. And when we looked at his situation, of course, he wanted to make his situation affordable too. But I got to look at his situation. His numbers a little closer than I would normally get to be able to see. And as a builder and a developer and a person that's trying to rent out these homes, you gotta. It's not just market price we're talking about. You have to get up over a certain number because of the cost
mhm,
of the land, cost of the taxes, cost of the building materials, cost of everything, is the cost of the maintenance, maintaining everything. You get squeezed on both ends. Costs so much to build and repair. You got to have a certain amount. You got to make a certain amount. You got to have a certain number. The way I think he was solving it is that he's doing like market rate at the top, and hopefully that will subside some of the ones that are down below. He's a three-story building, so the second and first floor are going to be more affordable, and he can kind of go off of a sliding scale to get people in that. But that's only because he can try to top hit market rate at that top rate. You just
mhm,
just understanding those things, and I'd love to hear from folks that are in the chat that are landlords and that are developers that can speak to that, because that's a part of it too. It's not just everybody out here trying to gouge. Sherman Wells says, when the young lady reached out from Rose Manor, it took a minute just to find the owners before I sent Miss Wright from Channel 3, which he refused to even talk to her. I have a video of him talking trash to the residents. Whew,
we need that. We need that, Sherman.
we need that footage, bro. We need that.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, we gonna holler at you, Sherman. We gonna
Tony Johnson says, "It's a good point. I feel more impacted by property taxes and fees and time it takes to address the city's policies and tax structure. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's definitely things that the land people that owning these properties got to go through.
yeah,
We talking about two different problems here. These multinational huge corporations coming and buying huge swaths of neighborhoods, but we're also talking about the individual landowners that maybe own one or two or three properties or even more. But these individual landowners that aren't from these major corporations that are just trying to maintain. There's two different things we're talking about here, and all of it trickles down to, like, what do we do? Where can we go live at, and for how much?
mhm,
And everybody ain't out here trying to get market rate. I'll give people some people the benefit of the doubt. There's some people. Everybody, my family. I know that my stepdad owned like four properties, and and I mean literally like maybe making $100 profit on it, and
yeah,
was putting that away to fix stuff when it came up. You know what I mean? So
mhm,
and it was worth it for him to sell because of that. He making no money on that. It was a headache. He was making enough for a management company to handle what needed to be handled, and that was kind of it, bro. And it
yep.
was just like when people came in like, let me buy. He was like, yeah, let me get out from underneath this headache here. I'm not a corporation big enough to make any profit here on this.
I mean, and that's again seems like the general thing. I mean, my situation before I left Omaha, the house I was living in right before I left, was a family member who owned that property. So let's just start there. Had it not been a family member, I don't even know, had I been able to get in it. But even still, the family member was like, "Hey, I'm not making no money on this. Like, we can maintain, but
Yeah.
shortly after we moved out, they sold.
Right.
And I'm sure that's not a uh, like a case in a silo. Like, I'm pretty sure there's
Mhm.
other situations that other property owners are dealing with, which
Yeah.
is why we're seeing these major corporations swooping in and taking it. And
Yeah.
how does that stop?
In the grand scheme of the conversations that we've had this whole show, we want to figure out what the solution is. Because I grew up in America and I grew up in a capitalist society, my first solution is we got to go make more money. And we
Mm-hmm.
got to make sure that we can take care of what we got to take care of. That's a given. But also, tying in some of the other things we talked about. How does this work in a socialist society? How do we have swaths of socialist neighborhoods or something? What do you do? I saw something earlier that Anthony Rogers Wright talked about what the Black Panther Party had you do. You work 30% or something like that. I can't remember his quote, but the or his comment there. But what do you actually do? What can be done aside from let's all make six figures? Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
not gonna be able to. Everybody can be able to do that. So what happens then? And what do you do? And these are the I want all solutions that, not just we got to go make more money, which is absolutely a solution. It's an immediate solution. It's something that they expect you to do. They expect you
Yep.
to become one of the haves so that you can do that. I come from a family that did that. I come from a family that was like, well, I'm gonna just go get it then by any means necessary. We're gonna do this. So that's the hence the entrepreneurship in my family all the way up to my great grandfather. Like it was like we're gonna make our money then, bro. You can go to the showcase, see a show, have some food, buy a horse race ticket, and everything, and listen to the jukebox. Everything you need to do because they were gonna have their hand in all of that and make that money so that we can have some housing. We can have the Omaha the Allen House built
Mm.
and so on and so forth. So I come from a situation like that where they were like, "Well, let's go get it then. We're not just gonna not have it." But we in a different time. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Different solutions. There's actually a lot of work out here if people want to really kind of get down. The wages is some of the wages is horrible, but there's a lot of that. There's also something we didn't talk about too, which is people rehousing up with each other. All of my family, a lot of my family have their in-laws and their parents living with them, or they
Mm.
live with their parents. So people are getting together and housing up together and tackling one rent. So we gonna find a way. That's just how our people does. So it may be a little harder than it was before for us, but we gonna find a way. But the point is that how do we also have that conversation in the conversation of being able to thrive and being able to help others and so on and so forth. This is something that we still need to do. Anthony Rogers Wright says we need solidarity economics. Again, I'm
Mm.
asking these questions so that you in particular can hit me with some stuff to go check out
Mm-hmm.
to get some actual answers and actually have some conversation about this stuff. So appreciate that. 1 minute to 9 o'clock, man. Been a great discussion on this stuff and
Yeah.
evergreen topics as well. Really appreciate it.
Mull
Everybody
over.
tying in. Hmm?
Said some things to mull over.
Yeah, you got
Oh.
you got my wheels turning up here.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
That's what's up. Appreciate everybody that stuck with us through the show. Do us a favor, share the show on your page. If you missed any parts of this show, you can go back and check it out on YouTube in its entirety. And please like and subscribe and hit the bell and all those things on YouTube as well. There's gonna be more stuff coming on YouTube. Is the reason why we're saying that as well. Not just the live show that you're used to seeing on Mondays and Wednesdays, but there'll be other things that we drop during the week coming. And so we definitely want you to be able to be aware of that. So please hit that bell on YouTube. And it's going to be on YouTube exclusively. We're not really
Yep.
dropping too many things on Facebook these days, moving away from that. All the way done with Twitter. Uh, get you a
Then
fan
X'd out
base.
X.
Say again.
Said then X'd out X.
Man, I ain't even got room to call it X. I'm
Man,
still on the Twitter. I can't,
man,
I ain't
man.
gonna stay on long enough to get used to the new name.
There you go. But definitely get you a fan base. Yeah, tap in with
Yeah,
fan
get you a
base.
fan base.
Black on.
Tap in.
Black on.
Black owned social media company. We would
Yep.
love to just be over there exclusively if y'all was over there.
Man,
So I'll tell you right now, go get you an account.
man.
Appreciate it. You got any words for the people?
Man, thank y'all for sticking with us. It was kind of a rough Wednesday, but we here and we did the thing, man. Hopefully we did some good. Hopefully you got some value, learned some things, got some things to think about, and equip, with some tools to have the conversations with your loved ones, because that's what it's all about. Conversation rules the nation, getting down to an understanding, getting down to the bottom of things, and then being able to mobilize based upon that understanding. That's what it's all about, man. So again, we appreciate you. We love you. We thank you for the support. Catch the same time, same place, Monday and Wednesday, right here on First Sky Omaha in the morning. And also remember, we're not broadcasting on Fridays, but again, look out for the weekly wrap and a couple other things that we have coming down the pipe, man. So again, we appreciate you for supporting us. Stay tapped in. In the meantime, between time, Paul B,
Yo,
take
yo.
it away, man.
Man, Mama God says missed the end of the show because of buffering, but she says everyone have a great rest of the
Man,
week. Shout out to
yeah,
Mama God. Appreciate you very much.
go back,
Uh,
check it out.
yeah, Ceci Eugene says great show, fellas. Lots to mull over. Appreciate that. I appreciate that you guys, not just come here for the news, but come here for us to get into some deep thought on some things. That's what this is about. So
Yeah, man.
shout out. Wanda Lewis says unless you're naturally talented or very creative, getting more money immediately will not happen unless you have money to pay for college and a lot of time. Again, we got to think about, how do you navigate? Going to get more money is one way, and yeah, some of it takes time, some of it you can get fast if you're really looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
But the point is that all we need to be worrying about is just getting the money. So, something to mull over for real. I really appreciate you guys adding your thoughts in so that we can kind of mull over a lot. Appreciate it very much. Pop says much love. Have a great week, everybody, and see you on Monday.
Yep.
Appreciate you, Pops. Appreciate you very much. Appreciate everybody that's joined us. We'll go ahead and get out of here. Shout out to the Omaha tribe elders for allowing us to be on this land and speak while we're here. Shout out to our elders for allowing us to speak before you. And shout out to you, the chat chimers, especially today on Think Tank Wednesday, on
Okay.
really, really understanding and figuring out what's going on here. And really appreciate everybody who joined in. Even though we didn't have our special guest today, we'll reschedule Maya another day and we can talk to him about what's going on there. Lots of good information on relationships between our communities and the police
Yeah,
that
man.
need to be talked about.
Big
But
time.
meantime, between time, again, appreciate everybody's comments. Appreciate you. Appreciate the people who have been joining as well, supporting
Man.
this. Man, speaking of group economics, we appreciate you guys. The $10 people, the $25 people, the $50 people. Really appreciate
Thank
you
you.
guys. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, the membership's growing. We definitely didn't want to lean on the public exclusively in order to help pay for what we're trying to do here. But if you find value in what it is that you're doing and you decide that you want to help us out that way, we do have that mechanism for you. And the people that have signed up really appreciate it. You can go to firstskyOmaha.com, hit the donate button, and become a recurring member of the channel. That really helps us to not have to be depending on all the things we're talking about here, man. We don't want to be just a philanthropic organization. We're trying to do Black news and discussion and outreach and training and citizen journalism. And we can only do that by the people that think that what we're doing is important helps us do it.
Mm-hmm.
So those of you that have, really appreciate you. Thank you very much. If you haven't, please consider doing so. FirstSkyOmaha.com, hit the donate button. And thank you very much for even considering that.
Yeah,
With
man.
that said, we're gonna go ahead and hit you back on Monday, but definitely check YouTube out for some things that we're going to be dropping on Friday as well. So definitely like, subscribe, hit the bell there. And if you, as far as anybody who wants the shirts that we were talking about earlier, hit us up. You can hit me up personally if you know me. If not, you can go to firstskyOmaha@gmail. Hit us up. Get the public housing fight the towers shirt.
Fight
And
the
also,
towers.
yeah, and also we got a few more of the limited edition First Sky Re shirts as well. And with both of these shirts, part of the proceeds goes to the Underwood Tennis Association and
Mm-hmm.
or tennis group, excuse me, uh,
Yeah.
headed up by Hassani Lee. So we'll be
And
checking in with
also
him shortly. Go ahead.
And also for the first Sky Re collab, some of those go back to support the artists as well.
Oh yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
yep,
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 yep.
yep. So and that's something that we're trying to do as well. Not only support causes that we feel important, but also support the arts because we're a couple of artists and the arts are also important.
Yep, that's why we're trying to collab with them. So shout out. Don't forget Monday we're going to have the senators on. They come on Mondays when they can. Senator Justin Wayne, Senator Terrell McKinney, and I put out a couple calls to some other senators that you guys told us would be a good idea to talk to as well because we realized that that people listen to the show all around Omaha, and
Yep.
you have different senators for different areas, and you might want to hear from your own as well. So I'll be looking at reaching out to Senator Conrad. Dungan as well. So yeah, love to bring some other folks on. I'd love to hear from Senator Carol Blood again.
Man.
Megan Hunt's been in the news a lot with this pennies for pilling campaign.
Hmm.
Love to talk to her as well. So yeah, we'll reach out to some other folks as well, and then of course all the special guests that we talk about. We're trying to have on very shortly. As a matter of fact, Brother Ewing is somebody who I'm talking to right now to be able to come on too, to talk about his run for mayor. So lots going on, and then when our people come back from the Democratic National Convention out in Chicago, we'll definitely catch
Man.
up with them and talk about their experience and how they felt going out there deep. There's like 10 or 12 of us going out there in that delegation.
All right.
Uh, yeah, it was, yeah, man. So I kind of had a little bit of like, man, that would have been fun.
It's about 6-8 hour drive. Hop on that road.
They went to concerts afterwards. Common was on
Man.
stage, man.
All
Common was on
right.
stage, DNC. You know what I'm saying? Patti LaBelle. They was at the actual DNC having some fun, and then went to concerts and stuff afterwards. So, yeah, man, yeah, get riled up, folks. Might not always agree on all the politics, but it's also about living alive with one another. So, shout out to them for doing what they did, and
Man.
shout out to everybody who's excited about what's going on, man. It's
Yeah.
election
Yeah.
season. Get excited.
Gotta remember to play.
Got to remember to play. With that said, we're gonna get out of here. We'll see you guys Monday. Peace.
Peace.
By the way, Van Glorious. This is protected by the Red